January 17th, City of Wyoming City Council meeting. Let the record show that we do have a quorum. Council members Onstad, Schilling, and Yeager are present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Council Member and veteran Dennis Schilling.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next is open forum, an opportunity for members of the public to address the City Council on items on or not on the current agenda. Items requiring council action may be deferred to staff or boards and commissions for research and future council agendas if appropriate. You will be limited to 3 minutes, and we ask that you conduct yourself in a professional and courteous manner and refrain from the use of profanity. Failure to abide by this policy may result in your privilege to speak. I don't see anyone for open forum. So we will move on to the approval of minutes. Number one is to consider approving the minutes of the regular meeting of the Wyoming, Minnesota City Council agenda meeting for January 3rd, 2023. Do we have any questions? If we have no questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve? A motion by member Onstad. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Schilling. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Number two, consider approving the minutes of the work session meeting of the Wyoming City Council for January 11th, 2023. If there are no questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by member Schilling. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We have no scheduled bid lettings or public hearings, so we will move on to the consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda will be adopted in one motion. However, council members may request individual items to be pulled from the consent agenda for discussion and action if they choose. Does anyone want to pull anything from the consent agenda?
No.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Actually, can I ask a question
Yes.
on the consent? I actually have a question about number 7, and that's it. Do we need to pull it to ask the question? Okay. All right, let's pull number 7.
Okay. Pull number 7.
All right, then I'll ask my question is, when would we hear a response from this? Do we anticipate or know anything about this?
Mr. Erickson, I don't know if you're familiar with the RAISE grant, the federal dollars. That's the one that the Shishogue County is going for. I believe that this grant, that I think it closes, I want to say the end of March.
Okay.
I believe, so, and the anticipation on when they would, offer up any of the potential projects that they were dollars on, I would assume sometime this year, but I think it does close, I think the end of March, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, thank you. That was my only question.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion to?
Motion to approve number 7?
The consent agenda.
Oh, the entire consent agenda, yes.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by member Schilling and a second by member Onstad. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Next is to acknowledge receipt of reports of officers, boards, directors, commissions, and department heads. Would anyone like to pull anything for discussion? All right. Moving on. We have 2 items for new business. We have nothing under old business or communications. Agenda item number 13 is to consider Resolution 23-01-12, a resolution approving plans and specifications and ordering an advertisement for bids for the East Viking Boulevard improvement for project SAP 248-108-003. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you very much. This evening, we are requesting authorization to advertise for bids, but first we just want to quick highlight again the 2 projects. One is the 2023 East Viking Boulevard Improvement Project, and the second is the bridge over the south branch of the Sunrise River. We are recommending that these projects be bid jointly, and so we are requesting that you receive the plans and specifications for both, and then authorize the advertisement for bids. It can provide a little bit more detail if you have any questions, but I know we've gone through both at length in many meetings, and so I know you're familiar, and we don't have anybody in the audience, so we are recommending moving forward with, or recommending that the council receive them and authorize the advertisement for bids.
Okay. Mr. Erickson, can you kind of give us a timeline for, just for those who are listening and for public record, what the timeline is from once we start this until when we actually see action on the project.
Yeah, so this evening, provided we get authorization, we will place this ad in the paper, and so it will show up next Thursday, well, I think we had a change of the paper, and so I apologize, I don't recall their publication date, but it'll likely show up in their paper next week. And then we'll have a 3-week period where we'll have contractors with the ability to review and provide and, look at providing bids. And then we'll be looking at bringing this back to the second meeting in February for consideration of award. Construction would still likely start in that May timeframe.
Okay, thank you.
The bridge would follow quite a bit later. There's a long lead time on materials, and some of those costs have gone up. We looked at pre-ordering some of those, and it just didn't make sense at this time, based on the lead times that we're seeing. And so that portion of the project would be much later, potentially even carrying over into 2024.
Okay, thank you. Questions from council member Onstead?
No questions.
Member Schilling?
No questions.
Member Yeager?
No questions.
All right, if we have no questions or discussion, do we have a motion to approve agenda item number 13, resolution 23-01-12?
So moved.
Motion by member Schilling, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by member Onstead, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Number 14 is resolution 23-01-13. If we don't have any continued discussion on this, any questions? No?
No
Okay.
questions.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
But member Schilling makes the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by member Onstead. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. All right, that brings us to council reports. Member Onstead.
I attended the park board meeting last week, taking over for you.
Excellent. Member Schilling.
I attended the work session last, and that's pretty much it. Thanks for anybody watching tonight.
All right, member Yeager.
I attended, well, I guess it was a work session last week, and thank you all for watching.
All right, and I also attended the work session last week. Thanks for watching. That brings us to the end of the meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second, all right, we are adjourned.